Hey Token Metrics family, it's Dylan Love. I host Crypto Hot Seat on the Token Metrics YouTube channel. I want to thank you for watching and subscribing. Happy holiday week to all of us in the US here. We're celebrating Christmas at the end of the week. And so we're releasing a bunch of bonus episodes for you of Crypto Hot Seat. The episode you're about to watch is an interview between me and Mr. Andrew Kiguel. Andrew is the co-founder and CEO of Tokens.com. This is a publicly traded crypto company operating in Canada. Andrew's got a pretty interesting career that runs all the way from investment banking all the way to his present-day job being a mover and shaker in crypto. So thanks for watching, and check out this interview with me and Andrew. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're watching another episode of Crypto Hot Seat, the only interview show in crypto that matters. My name is Dylan Love, and I work for a crypto research company called Token Metrics. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Andrew Kiguel. Andrew is the CEO of Tokens.com, a publicly traded crypto company based in Canada. Andrew, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Hey, Dylan, with pleasure.
I want to start right with some news that I understand is pretty recent for you guys. What do we need to know about Tokens.com jumping into Metaverse and virtual real estate? And to put a more specific point on the question, how can you help us unpack this headline that I'm seeing about that your company announces up to $10 million of marketed private placement of units? What are these units? What is this? How does this connect with the metaverse and all this?
Okay, good question. I'm going to try and distill it real fast. We are looking to invest more capital into metaverse real estate, and so we just did a raise of equity in the markets. We were looking for 12. We were highly oversubscribed. It looks like we're going to close on 16 million. So 60% increase over what we were intending to do, because the demand primarily to invest in metaverse real estate is quite high. We're the only public company in the world that I'm aware of right now that allows a public market investor to get exposure, direct ownership of metaverse real estate.
Super interesting. It seems like Facebook is the one driving conversations about metaverse. Is this your experience of it? Is it always going to be? It's not always going to be this way, but right now it seems like we have this giant in the room called Facebook going metaverse, metaverse.
That certainly is part of it. We got into the metaverse before Facebook, but I think there's other things driving conversation. There was an awesome EMD music festival in Decentraland this past weekend that I thought was really cool. But there's all kinds of really cool things going on. I think the difference between the metaverses that we're investing in and Facebook is that Facebook is going to, I think, own the entire infrastructure. And so if you wanted to advertise or do things in their metaverse that are commercially based, you're going to have to go through the toll booth of Mark Zuckerberg. The metaverses that we are dealing with are more like Decentraland and Sandbox, Somnium. I saw this morning that the Winklevoss brothers through Gemini invested in Somnium, which is another metaverse. These are ones that are based on blockchain technology, and you can actually be some of the architects and landlords in these parcels of land, which allow for a whole different set of opportunities. So Facebook, think about it as the antithesis of blockchain because it's centralized, and whatever they build will continue to be centralized. And other platforms like Decentraland, just as it says in its name, is decentralized.
Yeah. It just seems like more and more of the world is going online, and now it's going so online that maybe the new world is just an online world completely. Not a question there. Not a question there.
That's what happens when the governments around the world shut everything down, right? So you have all these people living on their own, and they have nowhere to go. And so you're going to turn online, because I think a basic human tenet of living is the ability to socialize. And people went online to socialize. Kids have been doing it for a little while through things like Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite. But I think this was a game change when people started going into these areas and becoming addicted to these friends that they make worldwide. And I think it's really the evolution of social media, because this is why Facebook is converting there. So rather than just going and flipping and scrolling through something, you can actually have your avatar that represents maybe how you want to look. And you can go in and you can take that social experience to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I'll give you some
Makes
cool
sense with me.
examples. So
Please.
Gucci is selling NFT handbags for the same price as a real physical handbag as an NFT. So my wife said to me, she's like, why would anybody pay $10,000 for an NFT of a Gucci bag? Well, number one, there's a scarcity value and you can resell it. So you own an asset. It's not like a JPEG. You own this asset. But I said also, let's put it in perspective. Let's say you're a woman living in Anchorage or a person living in New Zealand or somewhere where you don't have a downtown area that you can go and get dressed up in and meet people. If you were to buy, and you lived in Anchorage, Alaska, and you went downtown with a real Gucci bag, you'll either be ignored or you might get a beer bottle thrown at your head.
Yeah.
However, you show up online with your Metaverse and you have your Gucci bag, your NFT Gucci bag, and Jimmy Choo just launched their NFT line last week, which is a high-end shoe. You're building social status. And so in the same way that people try and build social status on things like Instagram by posting their food or where they're vacationing, this is taking it to a different level because you actually own an asset that has resale value, and you show up and your friends from all over the world are going to be like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. Makes sense. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your experience in and outside of crypto. Checking out your CV online, it looks like you put in quite the tour of duty through legacy finance and investment banking.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden you make a jump and you start something called Hut 8 Mining Corporation. Can you take us back to that time in your life? How I'm in my imagination, you're making trades, doing deals, and then this thing called crypto comes across your desk. How did it become so interesting to you that you changed, I don't want to say changed careers, but certainly took a new direction? What was that all about?
So I was always I was an investment banker for 20 years. I was doing deals. I liked it. I was pretty good at it. And back in 2017, somebody came to me with a Bitcoin project. And pretty much like everybody else at the time, especially from the traditional finance world, I was like, this is a bit of a scam. I'm not interested in this. But I took it home and I started reading. And as the more I started reading about it, the more interested I got, the more I started hearing about it. And I started looking at things like ICOs. And I was like, okay, there's something here. But the one thing I did, and although I'm a crypto guy now, I'm still sort of have a 1 foot in the traditional finance world and 1 foot in the crypto world. So in 2017, I realized this is before the funds and the ETFs and the miners. I saw that a public market investor did not have the ability to invest in Bitcoin. Having just gone through the process of buying my own Bitcoin, I realized you have to wire money off free. You got to create your online wallet and do the KYC AML where you're showing your ID, where do you make your money, pictures of your bank account. Then you have to wire money offshore and it disappears for a few days. And you're sort of like, will I ever get my Bitcoin? But the process requires a leap of faith. People who invest in the public markets don't like doing that. They want to be able to hold their crypto in a public company. And we see this because even though Bitcoin is so easy to buy today, people still flock to the ETFs, the funds, and the crypto miners. But back to 2017, talked to some guys who said, why don't we create a crypto miner, a Bitcoin miner that holds its Bitcoin, and by virtue of holding its Bitcoin, we take it public, and that would give people that exposure to Bitcoin that they're looking for. Because at the time, funds and ETFs were not legal. They weren't regulated. This was a way to sort of get around the rules by creating a Bitcoin miner that kept its Bitcoin. So we went out and the deal was really hot. I was a co-founder of the deal. We recruited guys like Mike Novogratz and Bill Tai to the board. Wow. So, I mean, you probably know, you should know who both those guys are in the crypto world. They're both luminaries. And so I was the finance guy on it. I raised the company $107 million through 2 fundraises. And we were looking for a CEO. And so at one point, somebody said, Kiguel, why don't you do it? You've been behind the whole thing. I helped name the company. I structured it. I brought the people on board, the investors. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, I've been an investment banker for 20 years, which is literally a job where you are like sucking up and doing things for other people all the time. And I was like, it's a little bit of every entrepreneur's dream or hidden entrepreneur's dream to be like, they came to me and they said, there's $107 million in the bank. You've got guys like Mike Novogratz and Bill Ty on a board, and you can go in, rely on whoever, and build and spend that money however you want to do it. So I was like, yeah, I'm there. So I left my job to become the CEO of Hut 8. And I built what is today, I think, considered the largest Bitcoin miner in North America. I also instituted a HODL policy there. So Hut 8 kept as much of its Bitcoin as it could. And today, Hut 8 has, I think, close to a $3 billion market cap and the third or fourth largest holding of Bitcoin for a public company in the world, behind companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla.
Yeah. So, it sounds like you were putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet before that was the cool thing to do.
I was actually, I think, the first CEO in the world to get paid in Bitcoin.
Oh, wow. There's a fun little soundbite. I like that. That's pretty interesting, man.
Yep.
What,
so back then, Bitcoin was a lot less, but I was receiving some cash salary plus 1 Bitcoin a month. Today, that would make me real wealthy. But anyways, but I did that, and I love the company, and the new management there after I left is doing a good job. So good on them. But a couple of things I hated about running a Bitcoin mining company. Number one, there's really big depreciation from that equipment. So you're constantly on this treadmill of needing more capital. Your hash rate goes up, your equipment becomes obsolete, you got to buy more. I would also get a lot of phone calls from environmentalists and media saying, hey, Bitcoin's cool, but you're destroying the planet. And so,
yes.
Yep. And I love Bitcoin, but there's no question it requires energy. So I started doing a bunch of research and I came across staking. And staking really is like the operating system to succeed proof of work because it solves the two main flaws. It uses 99% less electricity and it's way faster. You can process way more transactions per second, which makes it the reason why I think nobody builds anything on proof of work anymore. Everything is built on staking, like Solana's, Polkadot's, ETH is converting. And I think one of the key reasons outside of the environmental is if you're going to change financial services delivery through DeFi, and if you're going to process the transaction volumes that we're seeing in NFTs, you just can't do it on proof of work. It's just not fast enough, and it's a bottleneck.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite environmentally or so-called green cryptos? Like Nano comes to mind, Chia comes to mind. What else belongs on that list, if anything else?
I don't. I think anything that runs on the staking, and I call it the operating system. I look at it kind of like iOS or Android, but I think anything that runs on staking is really environmentally friendly. So I'm not looking for specific tokens focused on improving the environment. I'm just looking for the tokens that don't require the proof of work electricity draw.
Gotcha. So nowadays you're doing Tokens.com, which I understand is a proof of stake technology company. Can you help us understand what that means? We understand the consensus mechanism of proof of stake, but what does it mean to be a technology company operating within proof of stake?
Yeah, so basically, if you go back to my roots at Hut 8, which was to create a public company that gave public market investors access to crypto and to Bitcoin specifically, this through the staking mechanism, which requires ownership, I'm really building a basket of crypto, staking it and compounding my staking. So every 10 minutes or so, I get a new token. I immediately restake it to compound our returns. And by virtue of owning us as our common shares, which trade in the public market, you're really getting direct ownership of these tokens. And so, it's interesting. I was just having a conversation with a company that was looking for us to invest in them, and they're a service building. They're building like a competitor, OpenSeas. There's all kinds. And I say, I don't really like service businesses. I don't want a business that needs to deal with people. I think if you can create a business where you get paid by the blockchain, which is like an algorithm, and you never have to interact with someone to collect fees or money, that's the best business in the world. My marketing budget to earn revenue is zero because the blockchain pays me to provide this staking service. So what Tokens.com is this collection of, not a ton, four different staking tokens right now. And by virtue of owning us, you get that exposure as a common shareholder. Again, a lot of people don't know. Look, it's not like staking is that hard. However, mining is not that hard either. Go to Amazon, order a machine and plug it in. Buying Bitcoin is not that hard, but how many billions went into the US ETF in the first day? I mean, in Canada, there's probably 10 billion through various ETH and Bitcoin funds and ETFs that are available here. So people still have a desire to get their exposure to crypto through a publicly traded company. And that's why earlier I said I have a foot in both. I'm leveraging my 20 years of experience in capital markets and dealing with those public market investors and saying, hey, you guys all remember me. Well, here's something here that gives you exposure to crypto so you don't have to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you have any opinions on differences in attitude between specifically American crypto regulation and Canadian crypto regulation. Which environment is friendlier to crypto businesses?
I would say for sure today it's Canada. We were first in the world to approve the crypto ETFs. The crypto funds have been fairly prominent here. If you look, one of the reasons Mike Novogratz, when he listed Galaxy Digital, came to Canada was because it was a friendlier regulatory jurisdiction, although they ended up turning on him a little bit before he went public. But you see all kinds of public companies here. Kevin O'Leary just launched WonderFi here in Canada. There's another one called Immutable, which is a bunch of guys from Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. There's certainly a better ability to go public here in Canada than in the US. And I think the other piece why people come to Canada is Canadians are a little more accepting, I guess, being a smaller company, of investing in these companies at an earlier stage. In the US, to do a successful IPO, you need like a $10 billion valuation. Maybe not that high, but it seems like the valuations are big. The scale is big. You can come to Canada, and when we went public on a $30 million pre-money valuation. We would never get away with that in the United States. And again, the regulators here were open to hearing us out and allowing us to list our company.
Yeah, very good. What advice would you give to somebody who maybe they have their own idea for a crypto company, whether in Canada or in the US? What's a good step one? Maybe surround yourself with good people, or is it about immediately courting investors and building a community? How would you get started if you were starting from scratch?
Yeah, well, tokens I only built about a year ago. But starting from scratch to me is often related to coming up with a good idea. And what I see often is probably the smartest people in the world that are flowing into crypto, and they're creating businesses where they get on the phone with me or they're doing a presentation. I just don't understand what they're talking about. And so it's an area that can be highly complicated. And I'm not a native crypto guy like other people. I'm not an engineer. I'm a finance guy. But if you can't explain it to me in 15 minutes, then there's something wrong with the explanation. I think Elon Musk famously said that any product that requires a manual shouldn't exist these days, right? Everything should be so simple and automatic and intuitive. I think it's the same thing with the business plan. And, everybody's trying to create NFT marketplaces. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon of whatever everybody else is doing. I would say if you're going to build something, have a revenue model, have something that's immediate. Just because you're really smart and you can build something doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be demand for it. I think get a good group of advisors, talk to people and figure it out. But look, entrepreneurship is what built the crypto industry. And so I'm not trying to discourage anyone, but certainly it's building a business is hard. You got to also have a really thick skin.
Very good. Yeah. Do you care to talk at all about any crypto investing that you do? You mentioned you were paid in Bitcoin, but has that gone so far as to you maybe dabbling in altcoin trading? Is that at all interesting or part of your life?
Yeah, so I'm not a big altcoin trader. I can tell you the things that we've done within tokens. So personally, I own a bunch of Bitcoin and ETH. Within tokens, we've dabbled in things like Axie Infinity. That was really profitable. When they made the announcement they were going to allow staking, we sold out of it because it just looked like the price looked like this, and we decided just to get out. Great project, really profitable, and good on them for creating, a really, neat project. In terms of what we own, I like to own more of the infrastructure layer 1 tokens. So we're staking ETH, we're staking DOT, We're staking BNB, and we're also staking something called from the Oasis Foundation called the Rose token. All good projects. Rose would be the smallest, has also been the one with the highest returns. We got in on the pre-sale about a year ago at 3 cents. I haven't looked at it recently, but last I looked, there's somewhere between 20 and 25 cents with an 18% payout in Rose. But because it's up so much, that actual payout's more like 140% when you convert it to fiat. Because what people need to understand when you're staking, like if I'm staking ETH and I'm getting 1 ETH a month, it doesn't matter if that ETH is worth $1 million or 1 cent. I'm still getting that ETH. So as the value of ETH appreciates, I'm not really getting a 10% return on the ETH anymore. I'm getting 10% ETH payout that when you convert it to fiat is actually much higher.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the power behind Tokens.com. We started staking ETH at $900. Now it's,
very good.
At 4,300 net dollars.
Yeah. It's north of $4,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started staking DOT at around $13. I think it's around 48 now. BNB is probably the only one that we're under where we bought it. We bought BNB maybe a little late to the game in like the 500s, and I think it's still below that. But we're still getting a great payout for holding it.
Yeah, fair enough. You can't pick winners 100% of the time, but it only takes one or two superstars.
Our overall asset base used in staking was up 57% in Q3. And while I'm sure there's individual tokens that have increased more than that, like Solana a lot, we missed that one. But 57% in a quarter for a public market investor is pretty good.
Yeah. Respect. Well, tremendous, man. I want to thank you for sharing so much of your expertise and experience with us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. You're obviously welcome back anytime. Tokens.com is the company. Andrew Kiguel is the co-founder and CEO. We can only salute your decision to turn most of your back to legacy finance and go full force into crypto. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Likewise, Dylan. Thank you.